again, we're hitting it and we're hitting and quitting because I know y'all all wanted us to get to this last case, which is the Smokey Robinson of it all. Now, baby, Smokey. Now, listen. For the last 2 years, we are very familiar with these types of lawsuits. Smokey has been hit with one today. Well, it hit the blogs today, and Simone was able to pull the lawsuit before we went live. So tell us what's going on, Simone. Tell us what's going on.
Girl, so this man has been accused of all kind of nastiness in his old ass age. He's 80 something years old. Okay. Now he look kind of nasty and scammy. Like he looked like one of them sugar daddies who'll give you money to like touch his private that's feels like jelly. You could go ahead and put it up. It's the last document here. We're gonna put it on the screen.
Okay.
Yeah, so Smokey has been, move this to the side. He has been sued in civil court by 4 different ladies. There are 4 Jane Does. This is in California Civil Code. He's accused of negligence, battery, assault, false imprisonment, intentional infliction of emotional distress, negligent infliction of emotional distress, gender violence, the Ralph Act. I don't know what that is. The Bain Act, hostile work environment, constructive discharge in violation of the law, failure to pay minimum wage, failure to pay overtime, incorrect wage statements, failure to provide rest periods, failure to provide meal periods. All right.
Dang.
We gonna hop to the facts.
Yeah, to the nitty gritty. All y'all care about is the facts. Y'all don't care about jurisdiction. Y'all want to get to the nitty gritty.
Show down. Show down. And it's not super long here. All right. So what we got? Plaintiff Jane Doe realleges and incorporates blah, blah, blah. So these are basically his employees. These are people that work for him. It says Jane Doe began working for him as his housekeeper at their Chatsworth residence on January 3rd of 2023 until February of 24, when she was forced to resign due to defendant Smokey Robinson's repeated sexual assaults and sexual harassment against her. The first one occurred March of 23 and continued until her forced resignation in February of 24. So that was a year. She worked on the weekends for the defendants when the rest of the staff was off. On a typical Saturday, defendant Smokey would take defendant Frances Robinson, his wife, to the nail salon and would rush home, knowing that he would be home alone with the plaintiff. Hold on. Can you move mine? Let me see. Okay. Oh, no. Rush home with the plaintiff. Okay. Upon returning home, upon returning home, Robinson would call her into his blue bedroom, lock the door, and escort their dog Shiloh out of the room. He will have showered and clothed only in his undies. He would then neatly place a white towel on the bed, not to soil the bed linens, in preparation for what was about to occur. This is so gross. Smokey Robinson would then begin to kiss her in the mouth, neck, and boobies. Then he would roughly penetrate the jiggle jaggle with his fingers, orally help her out, and proceed to penetrate her buttercup with his erect bottom part, causing her great pain. He must have been on that Cialis. They should sue Cialis too. Let me just confirm, hold on, who all the defendants are. We know it's Smokey and his wife. Okay. And then unnamed parties. Okay. That's really strange. All right. It said Smokey enjoyed ejaculating in her vajiggle jaggle without using protection. She would protest and resist his sexual assaults, but to no avail. In a desperate attempt to get him to stop these assaults, she would proclaim, "You're married," to which he would casually ignore. Smokey Robinson sexually assaulted her in that manner at least 7 times. The last one occurred February 17th of 2024, prompting her forced resignation on the 24th. She was unwilling to report his unlawful acts to the authorities due to her fear of losing her livelihood, familial reprisal, public embarrassment, shame, and humiliation to her and her family. and the possible adverse effect on her immigration status. I was about to say that. She was probably an immigrant, as well as being threatened and intimidated by his well-recognized celebrity status and his influential friends and associates. Then, this is his wife, defendant Frances Robinson, failed to take the appropriate corrective action to prevent his deviance. Hold on. To prevent his deviant misconduct against her, despite having full knowledge of the prior acts of S misconduct, having settled cases with other women that suffered and experienced similar sexual assaults perpetrated by him. Defendant Frances, the wife, also perpetrated a hostile work environment by regularly screaming at the victim in a hostile manner, using ethnically pejorative words and language, racial slurs. During her employment with the defendant, she worked 10 hours a day, 3 days a week, Saturday to Monday, at a rate of $18 an hour. They failed to pay minimum wage or overtime for the hours worked in excess of 8 hours, nor provided rest or lunch breaks. She would often work holidays for the defendants without being paid the holiday rate. Defendants also failed to provide her wage statements for the hours worked. Next is plaintiff Jane Doe 2. She realleges and incorporates everything else that was written or whatever in the prior paragraphs. Okay. Jane Doe 2 began working for him as a housekeeper at their residence, Chatsworth residence, in or about May 2014 until February 2020. Dang, that was 5 years ago, when she was forced to resign due to defendant Smokey Robinson's repeated S assaults and S harassment against her. Smokey Robinson's brutal S advances were constant and even predictable throughout her employment with defendants. Defendant Smokey Robinson's S assaults began in the later part of 2016. When they were home alone, he would text message her, asking her to meet him at areas in their residence where closed circuit cameras were not located. He would then summon her to either the laundry room or the garage where there were no cameras. When arriving, he would immediately grab her and began to penetrate her buttercup with his fingers, causing her excruciating pain, and then would proceed to R-word her. Defendant Robinson also forced her into his blue bedroom and made her perform oral. Thereafter, he would proceed to forcibly penetrate her with his pee without using protection. He would enjoy spraying it all over her face.
Smokey!
Much dissatisfaction in her abject humiliation. Defendant Robinson S assaulted her in this manner on at least 23 different occasions. Robinson would threaten her that if she refused to do it to him, he would make his wife be mean to her, which she was very capable of being. Child, this sounds like this needs to be in the criminal court. JD2, the victim too, was unwilling to report Smokey Robinson's unlawful acts to the authorities due to her fear of losing her livelihood, familial reprisal, public embarrassment, shame, and humiliation to her and her family, possible adverse effect on her immigration status. She was an immigrant, as well as being threatened and intimidated by the defendant, as well as the defendant's well-recognized celebrity status and his influential friends and associates. His wife failed to take appropriate corrective action to prevent his deviant misconduct, again, despite having full knowledge of prior acts like this in other cases he settled. Also, Frances Robinson also perpetrated a hostile work environment by regularly screaming at her using racial slurs. Her employment with the defendant, she worked 10 hours a day, 6 days a week, god damn, Monday through Saturday, at a rate of $10 an hour, increased to $12 in 2017. Girl, that's illegal. They failed to pay minimum or overtime wages for the hours worked, including those in excess of 8 hours, nor provided rest or lunch breaks. She would often work holidays for the defendants without being paid the hourly rate. And defendants also failed to give her wage statements. All right, the next one, and there's just two more. There's a 3 and a 4.
Hold on,
I
just want to pause
Go ahead.
real quick, Simone. Did I hear you say and that the reason why they're including the wife is because she failed to prevent this from happening after other settlements. So are they
Yes,
alluding to
girl.
the fact that there were other people that they've settled with? Okay. I just want to make sure I heard that correctly. Okay.
Yeah, let me just make sure I read that right too. At the bottom, this bottom paragraph, full knowledge of his prior acts of sex misconduct, having settled cases with other women that suffered and experienced similar acts perpetrated by him.
I heard that correctly.
You had it right. All right. Now, number 3, she began working for him as a housekeeper in the same residence February 2012 until April 2024, when she was forced to resign due to his repeated assaults. That's a long time. That's 12 years.
That is a long time.
Robinson repeatedly assaulted, harassed, and AR'd her during most of her time of employment. He would force her into the blue room. He would perform his ritual of exiting his bathroom nude or wearing only his undies after showering, and then carefully placing a towel on the bed not to soil the linens for what was about to occur. Gross. He would then disrobe and orally copulate her. Then he would force her to lie face down on the towel so he could put it in there from the back. Defendant Robinson repeatedly assaulted her in this manner at least 20 times. On one occasion, she resisted his advances, and Robinson offered her $500 to allow him to orally copulate her, an offer she refused. He needed to just pay a prostitute. When not attempting to penetrate her buttercup, defendant Smokey would make unwanted advances against her, touching her boobs, her private, and kissing her on the neck or her mouth. She resigned April 22nd of 2024. Okay, I thought it was the shirt of 2024 due to his continued assault in the hostile environment she experienced daily. She was unwilling to report it for the same reasons as the other ladies. She's also charging that his wife failed to take appropriate corrective action, despite knowing of his knowledge of prior acts. So here's the thing, though. They say knowledge of prior acts, having settled those. That doesn't mean acts with her or any of the other current housekeepers. It just means prior. So that's a distinct difference. Right. If you know he's done this and that person doesn't work there anymore, you may not necessarily think it's also happening with the current staff, especially if he had to pay out a lot of money. You might have thought, well, hopefully this fool done learned his lesson. It says during her employment, she worked 10 hours a day, 6 days a week, $18 an hour. They failed to pay minimum wage, overtime, excess, or give lunch or rest breaks. She often would work Sundays and holidays without being paid overtime or the holiday rate, and they didn't give her wage statements. Last one. JD victim 4 began working as a housekeeper at the same place, and was defendant Frances Robinson, the wife's personal assistant, cook, and hairdresser, starting in October of 2006 until April 22nd of 2024, when she was forced to resign due to his repeated assaults and harassment. Interestingly, it looks like that's the same last day for the both of them. That's the same. That's interesting. Let me see.
Yeah. They both stopped working at the same time.
That April of 2024. Okay, that's strange. Not strange, but I guess they said we both getting out of here. And I wonder what took so long. Maybe they've been negotiating for this last year. Maybe. When Robinson first assaulted her in 2007 when she accompanied him to his Vegas home. While there and alone with him, Robinson forced her into his bedroom and AR'd her. The assaults continued there and other places. In or about mid-2019, she was asked by a defendant to accompany him to his temporary residence in Bell Canyon to clean. While cleaning the master, he showered and returned to his bedroom naked with an erect dangling. He then proceeded to pull back the sheets and carefully placed a towel down, not to soil the linens. Oh, ain't he just a neat freak? Ain't he just a germaphobe? Not to soil the linen.
Does he have OCD or something?
Right. Then he kissed her boobs and neck and orally tried to help her out. He would often create a situation or seize the opportunity where he would be alone with her at the Chatsworth residence. When the other housekeepers would leave the residence, he would summon her to his blue bedroom while sitting naked on the bed. He would then lock the door and place that damn towel on the bed, that little nasty towel. After doing so, he'd pull off her clothes and, against her protestations, push her down on the bed and proceed to R her. He never used protection during the assaults and would jizz into her body or all over her body to his satisfaction and her humiliation. He would constantly admire and touch her boobs, kiss her neck, and force mouth kiss her. His harassment and assaults continued until the very day she decided to resign. She was unwilling to report it for the same reasons as the others. She claims Frances Robinson also didn't take the corrective action and perpetrated a hostile work environment. She worked 10 hours a day, 6 days a week. Bless her little heart. Okay, so some of them were overlap. 10 days a week at $15 an hour, which was raised to $20 and $18, and they failed to pay overtime, etc., etc., or breaks, or give her wage statements. Y'all, so those are the claims. Negligence, battery. Who is the lawyer? Let's see. It better not be.
A lot going on.
It better not be
Blackburn or Busby or Ariel.
Okay. Oh, what they're asking for is $50 million. They want $50 million. Oh, $50 million. Maybe this is Tony Busby. Hold on. Let's go to the last page. No, Harrison Hayden.
Right. Who is this?
Harrison Hayden. Woo, y'all. Hit those likes, y'all. We gotta get those likes up. Hit that like. If the blue bedroom wall on top, that'd be the shit set.
Right. What is up with this blue bedroom situation?
He looks disgusting. He looks gross. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So that is the Smokey Robinson case. Girl, that is wow.
See, this is why we don't need Alice and stuff like this for the seniors. He don't need that. That's probably what had this man running around poking people like that. Running around. Remember back in the day when you what was her name? Anna Nicole Smith.
For a long time.
Yeah. Like Anna Nicole Smith, she got with that 90-year-old man. They married and he croaked days later. She didn't have to do it to him at all because we didn't have those kind of drugs back then. Now you got those drugs and you just got to do it to him to the end of time until they're in a casket. Yeah, she could have gotten, did they get someone asked to get pregnant or get an STD? He definitely looked like he could pass an STD. That's a good question. Yes, Smokey Robinson, y'all. Smokey Rob, not Smokey for Friday, Smokey Robinson.
Yeah, Smokey Robinson. 85-year-old Motown legend Smokey Robinson. I mean, remember his last album was called Gasms, and the whole album was about sex. You remember that?
You are right. And everybody was grossed out because we felt it was so unnecessary.
Right, I'm talking about the playlist. Yes. And him grinding on stage. Like, I mean, I'm not saying it's true, C Breezy. I am not condemning this man, but we just talking. We just talking.
Yeah, I need to see. I want to know, okay, so based on the salary that these women were making, I absolutely believe that they were immigrants and they were probably terribly fearful, especially depending on where you are in your immigration status. One, they could have been illegal. We don't know. Or two, it could have been pending. And with pending immigration status, if you have any run-ins with the law, as an attorney, I've had so many people that were actual victims that were fearful of even reporting things because they're like, well, what if they change it on me? Or, what if I get investigated? What if I don't get approved for citizenship? So that's how come one of the ways that even if you're here illegally, if you're dealing with domestic violence, if your partner has abused you, it actually can be, it's one of the few routes to citizenship because of the fact that what men were doing is they would abuse an immigrant woman, and these women were dying because they were too frightened to go to the courthouse, show up, or even tell the police. So now that is a exception to the rule. We'll see what happens with Trump, but
right. And
yeah,
let me say this too. And I mean, again, not to get political, but I will. And I'm not saying that this means that he's guilty. I'm not saying that either.
right.
But in this current climate, for them to be immigrants and to put themselves in a situation where the spotlight is on them, I'm not saying that means he's guilty, you guys. But what I am saying is they are putting themselves, if they are here illegally, or even if they're, like you said, if they're legal, but they still, were immigrants at one point, they're still
And it's
putting a
not
big old
final.
target on
Right.
themselves. Yeah. So
Right.
again, I'm not saying that means he's guilty. I'm not saying that, but I am saying that does make me put a little validity in the conversation a little bit. Again, not saying that,
Yeah.
I don't, I don't mean they did it. I ain't saying that. But in this current climate, to put yourself, if he was able to use that as according to them, if he was able to use that as a tool against them, that makes me think that there was some legitimate fear.
So wait, say that part again.
I do find it interesting that they quit on the same day, and I do find it interesting that they knew about other settlements, alleged settlements, because we don't know if that's true.
The lawyer might have known about it.
Case.
Yeah, the lawyer might have known about the settlements, but that doesn't mean that the plaintiffs did. But also, I could see both of the ladies quitting on the same day if they were each other's support system, and if they were going to be the only one left, the other one would have been the only housekeeper left. She would have been like, oh no, now I'm going to be the sole target. Previously, when you were here, at least half the time he'd harass you, half me. But now it's just me. I can't do it. Gasms.
Yeah. All of those things are points to think about. Yeah. All of those things. And again, that does not mean that doesn't automatically make him innocent or guilty for that matter. It's just an interesting thought to think about. Part of it. All of those are just elements that add up to what it is. Now, it'll be interesting to see if this ends up getting settled. I mean, not for $50 million, but it is interesting to see if it does end up getting settled. Because one thing I found, Simone, on my channel, we cover a lot of these cases when they first hit the stands, but I don't follow them all the way through, right? We talk about it when they hit the blogs, and if more information comes out, we keep talking about it. But for the most part, a lot of these cases end up getting settled, and we never hear from them again. So
yeah, this is one that needs to get settled if it happens. Yeah. If it happened, this is one that needs to get settled, make it go away. I would be very curious how long the parties were negotiating prior to filing this lawsuit. Because I could see him being an old, I could see him being an old man being like, hell no, I ain't about to give you shit. File your damn lawsuit. At his age, he ain't got nothing to lose. Like, he ain't got no endorsement.
If he's been getting right, and especially if he's been getting away with it. I ain't saying he's guilty, but let's walk down this road for a minute.
Right.
Let's just walk with me. Especially if he's been getting away with this behavior. If there are settlements in the past where he was able to just write a check. I mean, this man has been a star since his teenage years. He's 85 now. I'm not saying that he did any of this. I'm just saying that for the large majority of his life, women have been throwing themselves at him. And he probably has got, at the very least, he's probably gotten, we know he's a woman. We know he's a womanizer because that's been documented that he cheated on his first wife. He had an affair with Diana Ross. Like, we know that things have been documented about him, at least on that level. So if he's used to getting away with it and women throwing themselves, I mean, who knows?
Right. Well, I enjoyed this. Woo, this is a lot of law. I'm going to try to come back on later tonight and do a recap of Diddy Day 1 and 2. No, it's no problem. I enjoyed it.
Thank you so much. And I thank y'all for being here. And please, you guys, for all of my tribe members, if you guys are not already subscribed to Simone Girl Is That Legal, please make sure you guys are over there subscribing to Girl Is That Legal. She has a seminar coming up where she is going to be talking about people who are interested in being non-traditional students but going to law school. She's going to give you guys some great information. Also, she is available for consultations in any of the 50 states, just because you don't live where she lives, because if she can't help you, she will find somebody who can. Okay. Correct. So you guys make sure you guys are. And then, of course, she is bringing you Hot Topic. She does collabs with what's my girl? What's my girl?
Oh, Jesse
Not Jess.
Woo. We do background checks.
Jessie
That's every
Woo.
Friday
She,
now. We moved it to
right.
Friday.
She does and she
Yes.
does the background check. She also has a book on
Yes.
Amazon that you guys can order about background checks for dummies. That ain't what it's called, but that's
Yeah.
basically what it is.
Yeah. It's
Background checks
basically,
for
yeah.
dummies.
You go to my website.
Exactly. How to do your
Absolutely.
background check. Y'all know y'all out here in these streets meeting people, and you want to know if they are who they say they are before you go any deeper and dating them. But her background check stories are hilarious. And Simone is funny. If y'all don't know that Simone is funny, Simone is funny. Okay, so y'all make sure y'all are subscribed to her. And if and any of Simone's people on her side, you guys come on over to ReallyBTV. We do celebrity news and gossip over there. We do hit whatever's in the blogs, y'all. We talk about it. We talk about it over there. So y'all come on over and we'll be back. We're gonna do this. We're gonna try to get back to doing this somewhat
Yes. More regularly.
regularly.
At least once a month.
Yes, because with this Diddy trial, I think once it gets started, baby, it's gonna heat up. It's gonna heat up. So she's gonna come back later on, or try to come back later on and give you guys a more. Thank you so much, Tarsha. Thank you.
Love you guys.
She's gonna come back later on and give you guys a more in-depth breakdown on day 2 of the Diddy trial. You know, she was earlier. She was getting text messages from people and stuff. So she's gonna give y'all some good stuff, and we'll be back in a little bit. And I will see you guys later. Thank you so much. Anything else you want to let the people know, Simone?
No, yeah, just check me out, SimoneRedWine.com. You can sign up for a consultation. You can sign up for my free webinar. You're not too old to go to law school. And you can also get my book, which is an ebook, $19.99 on the website. Y'all take care. Bye, y'all. Girl, is that legal? All right.
All right. Talk to y'all later.